Guys, what is going on? My name is Mr. Iveco, and today I'll be doing my guide on legendary hand cannons and key tips for using them in the Crucible. Right, so let's get straight down to business. The first thing, the basics, what are hand cannons? They are slow firing, heavy impact weapons. They're ideal for medium to long range and are really bad in close range situations. Although, while some people would argue the differ, I mean Fawn and Last Word being exotics are good in close range, but I'm discounting them from this because this is based off of legendaries. Right, so what hand cannon is best for you? So, depending on what type of a shooter if you're an extremely accurate shooter and you can consistently, to use an example, 2-tap with the Fawn, then I definitely suggest for going for something a bit slower like the Ill Will. Which is in the slower firing archetype along with Timur's Lash, which can be a secondary alternative, because if you can consistently hit headshots, they can be an absolute menace of a weapon. Whereas if you're not as accurate with your shots, as you can see in here with me clearly failing on this video to get accurate shots off, you might want to go for something like the Fulcrum, Red Hand, or Her Mercy, being obtained from New Monarchy, Future War Cult, or doing the Prison of Elders and getting the chest at the end. So what are the important stats for a hand cannon? Now, this is debatable, and please leave your feedback in the comment section on whether you think I'm right on this or wrong, all of that stuff. My first perk would definitely have to be most likely stability, just for the fact you need to make sure every shot hits. If you miss one shot and the enemy has an opportunity to turn around and shoot at you, 9 times out of 10 your chances of survival are going to be slim to none. Following that, my second part would be range, because you could have a great little hand cannon that's got amazing stability, you can clap them right in the head, and you've got excellent impact, so you can do a great amount of damage, but if you haven't got the range and it starts dropping off, you're not going to be able to get the full potential of your weapon out there, which obviously is not going to be helpful to you, because you're not going to be getting kills. Now my third and final most important stat would have to be impact. And this is solely down to the fact that because hand cannons are so slow firing compared to other weapons, you need to have a weapon that packs a punch. But thankfully all of the hand cannons that are currently out within House of Wolves all pack a really decent impact, so you don't have to usually worry about this as a stat. Right, so what perks would I recommend to roll on legendary hand cannons? Now, this is again debatable, but for the scope, I'd use something that improves reload, so I think it's the third scope, usually is the one that buffs the reload speed, so I'd definitely go with that. For the first perk, I'd have to be choosing between Final Round or Zen Moment. Now, if you're someone accurate with a shot, and you're an extremely prolific shooter, I'd definitely suggest Final Round. So if you're someone who empties your magazine on a regular basis and you're getting through your bullets really quickly, I suggest using Final Round, just for the fact that extra damage on the last shot could be the difference between life and death in a gunfight. Whereas if you're not possibly as prolific and maybe not as great of a shooter as others, I'd recommend Zen Moment, for the fact that after you get your first shot off, it buffs your stability, which I consider to be one of the most important perks, so any buff to that is obviously going to be helpful. But that's entirely up to you. For my mid-tree, my first perk, I'd probably have Speed Reload, for if you've got a slow reload hand cannon. Now, what I'd categorize as a slow firing hand cannon, I'd probably have to say the Ill Will's reload speed is pretty slow compared to the others. But again, debatable. If you can handle that reload speed, then fine. For the second perk, I'd either have high caliber rounds or explosive rounds, just for the fact they can be so detrimental to the person you're attacking. If they're struggling to shoot at you, they're not going to be doing damage, and you've got a better chance of killing them if they're not killing you. And for my final perk, I would recommend using Small Bore. Now, while this does cut the reload speed a bit, at the expense of getting better range and stability, I definitely say that the reduced reload speed can be negated by picking the right scope to improve reload speed, or just by having hand cannon gauntlets. You can pretty much reload a gauntlets. You can pretty much negate this imbalance. Right, so that's my recommended rolls. If you agree or disagree, please leave in the comments what you think your perfect roll would be. Right, so what are my picks for weapons? What would I recommend for hand cannons if you're thinking about trying a legendary hand cannon rather than Fawn or Last Word? Now, if you're someone that's more tied towards Fawn and you're an extremely accurate shooter, and I mean you can consistently get off two-tap headshots, so you're hitting double headshots and then leaving them to burn, I'd recommend the Ill Will, because it will be the closest thing that comes towards Fawn's ability. Now, while it does have a slower fire rate than the Fawn, it negates that with a heavier impact. So if you can hit 2 headshots, it's a guaranteed 2 headshot kill, even if someone is rocking up to you with the ram. If you're not as accurate with your hand cannons and you're not as good as a shot like I am, I can't say that I'm too good of a shot with hand cannons, I definitely recommend going with something like the Fulcrum or possibly Red Hand, or another one being Fatebringer, if you didn't want to roll the actual weapon. But up to you. The Fulcrum is a decent starting place. It's been heralded as the Fatebringer Junior. It looks a little bit like the Fatebringer, and as a person, well, for me, when I use the Fulcrum, I really do enjoy using it, and it just has that feel to it. I don't know what it is, but it just feels like a really, really nice weapon to use, and it's so stable and good for a starting out hand cannon user. Right, so what armor would I recommend with hand cannons? Now, as you can see in this video, I've got Lucky Raspberry on, and I believe that buffs your amount of hand cannon ammo you can carry, so that's definitely always helpful. If you're currently using the Fawn, I would usually do, it's a bit of a newbie tactic, but to be honest, I don't care. If you've got someone hiding around a corner, I'd try something called Arc Burn, which is you lob an arc bolt grenade and shoot them in the chest with a Fawn. Usually that'll be enough to kill them. Usually. If they're wearing the ram, then it might not be. For helmets, I'd recommend using possibly a probably Knucklehead Radar for the hunters, and I can't think of any others really apart from that would help. For chest pieces, as I've gone over, Lucky Raspberry. For your warlocks out there, possibly using the Void Fang Vestments, because that buffs the amount of hand cannon ammo you can use, along with improved Axiom Bolts, so if you throw it into a bigger crowd you can get 3 arc bolts out of it. For leg armor, I don't really see, if you're someone that is a really prolific shooter and finds himself running out of hand cannon ammo, I mean, yes, great, you could go get a extra hand cannon ammo leg armor, but I honestly would not recommend it. I don't see too much point in it. I'd rather have leg armor, which improves the amount of heavy weapon you can get, which you can easily obtain from the Crota's End raids. Just having more heavy ammo is almost like getting more guaranteed kills, basically, so I definitely roll along with that. But, right guys, that has been the end of my hand cannon tips video. So, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Give it a like, a share, if you do like my content and want to see more like this. I do have the Scout Rifle Guide already up on YouTube. In the coming days, I'll be bringing out the Auto Rifle, Pulse Rifle guides, and I'm going to try and cover basically all the weapons in the Destiny before the House of Wolves. God damn, a bit late on that one, but before the Taken King drops, so people have comprehensive guide on what they can use. So, as I said, like, subscribe, all of that stuff. If you want to talk to me in person, I am available on Twitch as well. I do stream most nights of the week, so be sure to check that out, Twitch TV, Mr. Iveco. Right, I'm going to shut up now, let you enjoy the rest of this game, and I'm going to stop talking. It's been Mr. Iveco with the hand cannon guide. Thank you, and goodbye.
They've almost won. Let this defeat be a lesson. Only the strong survive.